Hi, and welcome back to a podcast above a convenience store, Talking Twin Peaks. I'm Joe Fremming from the Joe Down. With me, as always, is Paul Muad'Dib from Cast That Movie. Paul, how you doing?
I am doing well today, sir. I love. All right, we'll get into that. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How you doing?
Uh, we're doing good. I'm doing all right. I just got to ask you this one question that I asked during the Fire Walk with Me podcast. Is it future or is it past?
Oh, so good, right? So good. Yeah, we'll get to that because is it future? Is it past? What's going on, right?
Yeah, yeah. This was so. Dear listeners, we are on part two of The Return. The part it's titled "The Stars Turn and a Time Presents Itself." And this is, it's weird. This is not like the other elements of Twin Peaks because this is basically one giant 18-hour long movie. But
Right.
we're gonna dig into this because there's a lot going on in this episode that I forgot.
Me too. Me too.
And it's very. This is a very interesting one. This is and of course it deals with the Black Lodge, which everybody knows is my favorite part of talking Twin Peaks. So, Paul, why don't you kick this episode off?
All right. So let me just say first of all, I love Matthew Lillard in The Return. I really do. He's great for it. Like he just feels like it is a fit for there. But we're in Buckhorn, and Hastings is running his hands through his head and his scalp, and you can hear the skin rubbing. And the detective comes in along with his wife and telling him this is going to be a very short meeting. I assume then that we're going to find out that that Mackley kind of knew what was coming. So Phyllis tells Hastings that according to their attorney George, he will not be released on bail. And Hastings says that he didn't kill her, but he dreamt about being there that night. Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So this one with all the crying. So he's the new Leland on two levels. One,
Mm-hmm.
he's crying all the time like Leland did, and two, the way he describes. So he had a dream where he was at what was her name? Ruth Davenport's
Ruth
house.
Davenport's house, yes.
He was also having somewhat of an affair with. We find out from this talk, but he claims he dreamt it. And rewatching this for the podcast, it made me. Did you get the feeling like maybe Leland had this too when something took over his body or something?
Yes. I
Because
think that this is what happens. Like there's that hole where they just think it was a dream or it was some kind of weird out there thought, like a deja vu thing. Yeah, I think that's exactly what was going on with Leland.
yeah. So, and the reason I bring this up is like because we find out a little later, but I just want to bring it up now because it's with the Leland thing. I think he has a little partner in him before it takes off, and it's the woodsman we see for the very first time in a
Yes.
cell down the way. So I think
Yep.
they kind of operate in the same way Bob does.
Yeah, I think they're of the same milk. Well, we know that from the missing pieces, right? We saw the woodsmen. They looked a little bit different, but they were the same woodsmen.
Yes, but yeah.
Hmm.
So it was cool. So yeah, and we also get like in its own twisted way. A lot of people complained about the return. Is like it wasn't like the original Twin Peaks. It still has the elements because we got like the soap opera shit in here with
Oh yeah, and the quirky and the odd, that David Lynch odd form of direction where the way that they talk and everything. It has. Watching it a second time, we were given Twin Peaks, but it was the elements that David Lynch wanted us to focus on, not the shit ABC wanted.
yeah, and it's also it was yeah, it's done in a more modern way where so like it it seems weird like with Bill and his wife like she's like, I'm sleeping with George, who's their attorney.
Yep.
Um, so it does. It's like it kind of surprised me how much it kept some of these nightly soap opera elements that the first time through, like just kind of like went over my head because I was expecting to see this sort of stuff in the town of Twin Peaks.
Yes. So yeah, and actually, she doesn't come out and do it. He calls her out on it when she says that he was at Davenport's and that she knew she was sleeping with her, and he calls her out and says something very important here. He said that I knew you were having an affair with George and possibly someone else, and that little bit of possibly someone else comes into play a little bit later.
Not a little bit. It's the very next scene.
Well, sure, okay, fine, but yeah, but then George has to talk to the attorney that he knows is banging his wife.
Yeah, yes. George, the attorney's walking in, and Bill's wife. It's like he knows. Come back to my place when you're done. You know, like flirtatiously.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He has this look of dread on his face, like, oh shit.
Oh fuck. Yep. And
she does go home, and we got Mr. C waiting for her.
The other person she was possibly sleeping with. But Joe, why would he have anything to do with her?
It's all part of Mr. C's plan. We'll get into like why Mr. C arranges this. A lot of it has to do with our favorite archivist. Yes. And a certain dead body we've come across. But we'll get to it when we get to that. Mr. C is he phrases things so odd in this. Just to kind of like put him as like, we know he's not of this earth, even though he looks like Dale Cooper. He says you followed human nature perfectly, which is such a weird thing to say. Like, yes. I mean, granted, if I walked by and David Lynch said that to me, like randomly on the street, I'd be like, well, that's David Lynch. And I just go about my day. But if somebody else said that to me, I'd be like, what the fuck was that?
So something ran through my head on this, knowing, again, watching it a second time. And we haven't gotten to this part yet, but there alludes to the fact that she might be a tulpa or a doppelganger herself.
Yeah, it has Mr. C shoots her, and the camera does this really weird thing. It's a really weird effect. It goes back to like you brought it up in Cast That Movie when you guys did Elephant Man about Lynch's love of hokey.
Yes. Yes.
He uses it a lot, but it works in Twin Peaks. It might not work in Dune or like something that's outside of his little world, but it works here really well.
Really, really well. So yeah, I think that she, and I will get into this because this is kind of what when we get into that part of the episode, I really think that she was a helper of Cooper's, and he was done with her, and she was a loose end, and he shoots her with George's gun so he can frame the lawyer. Like, Mr. C's just a bastard.
Oh, he's cold-blooded in this. He's a real Dale Cooper's turned into a real son of a bitch.
Oh yeah.
25 years.
Holy shit. And he does not fuck around. So then we get this weird cut, and we have no idea why we're going to Las Vegas. And Duncan calls in Roger and gives him some money and says to hire her, tell her that she has the job. And which Todd replies, why you let him do these things to you? Which Todd replies, you better not get involved with people like him.
Yeah, never have someone like him in your life.
Yeah.
And again, like the first time watching through, like everything's like new and expansive. I think they were talking about Mr. C. Now that you and I've been through this journey before, it obviously is Mr. C. But the first time I watched it, was like, or is this some new character? Like I had no idea what the hell was going on the first time I watched.
No, I'm sure, but I can't remember who the her was though.
Oh, she comes in later. She gets spoilers, everybody. She gets taken down by Ike the Spike.
Oh, yes. That's right. That's right. I remember her now. Yes.
And
Yes.
that comes a little further along. So
Yes, that comes a little further along. Okay, good. I forgot about Ike the Spike. So yeah, go ahead to the next part because there's some imagery here.
yeah, so we get these train tracks, and the lights are going on as the train's coming, and really reminiscent of for me at least, the stoplight
Mm-hmm.
from the original show that indicates danger.
Yes.
And not only does it have that vibe, we get the weird like Black Lodge spotlight over the center of the area of where the train. Something I didn't remember until I was watching it for this.
Exactly. I'm glad you saw that too. Yes, I didn't. I had no idea. I think it's because you and I were so busy trying to absorb everything and not just going along for the ride and appreciating what was happening. Because there's something that I missed earlier too. In the going back just a little bit to when we saw Hastings in the jail cell, and we saw the dark man. And as he went away, I didn't notice, but there's a mask that he turns into like a mask and goes off camera.
Yeah, it's weird. And also, before his wife enters, that extreme humming we hear later on in his office is going on in the jail cell with him.
Yes.
Something I didn't pick up until I was rewatching it for this too. So, yes, everybody, it's all coming together, and I guarantee you we're not going to have a grand unified theory of Twin Peaks. We're just going to be even more confused.
Oh God, no. We're not going to have a unified theory, but I think we're going to be digging into some things and maybe bringing a perspective that maybe some other people didn't have.
Yeah.
So go on, Joe. You were saying about the train?
So the train goes by, and we're at a motel, little diner area with Mr. C, that fucker Ray, Daria, and a guy, Jack, is it?
Yeah, Jack.
And Mr. C, you don't want to say he wants things or he needs something. He has a very this, and it's weird. And I have a theory of why he seems to have a little more personality in these earlier episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I have a theory why.
Ooh, okay.
The theory is once Cooper comes in and becomes Dougie later on, he can't coexist. He becomes a little fractured. That's
yeah,
theory.
And I think
he becomes more cold.
Yeah.
Here he's a little more playful with his hired goons.
Mm-hmm.
That fucker Ray, he has information, access to information that Mr. C wants because he doesn't need anything.
No, and when he tells Mr. C he needs that, Mr. C goes off on a tirade.
Yeah, he does not like being told he needs something. And they also bring up that there's something important coming in the next few days that he has to do by himself, and it makes Mr. C obviously uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And something else is going on here. Did you notice what Mr. C was eating?
No, what was he eating? Cherry pie?
Creamed corn.
Oh, yeah, that's going to come up the next episode, literally and figuratively.
Yes, he was eating the symbolic creamed corn, and I'm actually sure that's probably he didn't even order it. I'm sure he threw it on a plate and ate it. Because it seems like something Mr. C would do. Yes, and as Jack's barely touched his 3 dinners.
Yeah.
But we do find out that Ray assures him that he got the information from Betty, Hastings' secretary.
Yes. Now, Ray, we'll find out later this episode. It's not a spoiler because this episode we find out all these people are pretty much, at least Daria and Jack are working against Mr. C.
Mm-hmm.
We have an inkling that Ray is probably in with it since he's with this crew anyway.
Yes.
That fucker Ray.
And that fucker Ray.
And I forgot it's this episode where he gets that moniker.
Oh yeah, that fucker Ray.
Again, the actor who plays Ray Monroe. That's it's in his Twitter bio.
Yep.
Played that fucker Ray in Twin Peaks.
Played that fucker Ray, George Griffith. So, so then, Joe, we get a move to another scene.
And this was, and I'm still a little confused by this because I don't know where in time this takes place.
Mm-hmm.
It feels, I wanted to say this takes place at the end of the series, but that wouldn't make sense.
Because Margaret's alive.
Margaret's alive. Hawk is in the woods. Something's supposed to happen this night. And we find that he's near Glastonbury Grove.
Mm-hmm.
And Log Lady calls him, and I gotta say, it's heartbreaking to see Catherine Coulson like that. You know, obviously she's dying when they film this. Well, we're gonna be bringing this up just because it's heartbreaking to see, but I love the interaction between them, even though it's
so good.
It's on the phone, like Hawk. She has Hawk's personal cell phone number.
You're right. Gives you a clue of how close those two really are.
Yep, and her log is another thing to say, and the stars turn, and a time presents itself. She also tells him to come by later. She has coffee and pie for him. So again, it's just this interaction between Hawk and the log lady. I just love it.
I love it too. So I have a. Oh, go ahead.
It gives a nice, much needed warmth because a lot of the return feels cold, a lot colder compared to the original run of Twin Peaks. So like when we get these interactions between Margaret and Hawk, I love it.
So I have a theory on the timeline as well of when this is happening, and I think it's happening at the point where Cooper is supposed to be leaving the Black Lodge and gets pushed down.
Yes. I think I agree because Hawk sees the red curtains.
Yeah, he sees the red curtains. He knows something's supposed to happen, but then they disappear. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think this was when Cooper was supposed. His 25 years are up.
Yep.
And Bob's 25 years are up. He's supposed to leave, and we find out what's happening here right after this. And I also like the fact that Hawk sees the red curtains to the lodge. Harry saw this too. It just seems like they can't say anything about it because they sound like crazy people.
Right. So yeah, right after this, we get Cooper sitting in the Red Lodge, and we get the Red Room, and we get the famous question: is it future or is it past?
From a much older looking Mike.
Mm-hmm. Who's got a one eye that I don't think works anymore. Poor guy.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Well, you know, he's aged. It's been 25 years, and
It's literally been 25 years.
He wasn't a spring chicken when they did the original show.
No. I mean, this is a guy who was born in 1939.
Yeah. I'm glad they brought him back. One thing you gotta give Lynch credit for is he kept as much of the original cast as he could.
Yes, as he could, and what he wanted and who he wanted, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's great to see Mike. We'll find out here in a bit. A certain lodge entity certainly has changed.
And we're going to talk about why that happened.
Yeah,
we're going to take a big detour and talk about why.
But first, so he asks him, is it future, is it past? And then he says, someone is here, and he vanishes. And then here comes Laura Palmer. This is a slight recreation of Cooper's dream from the third episode of the original series. Mm-hmm. Except, you know, obviously Cheryl Lee's a little older. Kyle MacLachlan's a little older. Although we discussed, he aged a lot better than David Lynch thought he was going
Oh, God, yeah. He looked awful. His age makeup, yes. He aged, fortunately, much better.
Yeah, but she does say some curious things before they do the recreation. She tells him you can go out now.
Yeah.
And then she goes, do you recognize me? Are you Laura Palmer? And then she does, I feel like I know her, but sometimes my arms bend back. And I have a theory about this. This is after Cooper's fuckery. Spoiler alert, he Marty McFly's the Twin Peaks timeline.
Yes.
And I think
yes.
this letting us know that that's happening because she does, it's still the like, who are you? She says, I am Laura Palmer, but Laura Palmer's dead. I am dead, yet I live.
Which is very, like, when that hit me, I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense now.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, this is your second time going through it. This is my third time. And, like, I remember, like, when I bought the return and I was, like, messaging you, like, when I'm like, dude, this is so much better the second time around.
Yeah. Yeah, like the clues are, like, making fucking sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But then, and this is also key, too, she removes her face, revealing a pulsating white light, and closes it back up.
Yep. We'll see something similar to this later, except it's a lot more terrifying.
It's a lot more terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Cooper asks her, when can I go? And she recreates the legendary, she walks over, kisses him, and whispers in his ear.
Now,
what she says troubles him, as before. He looks a little more troubled by what she's saying than he was in the original, what we saw in the first season.
Yes. I did catch a glimpse, though. I think she whispered something funny to him at one point, because I caught a glimpse when her hand was over, and she's trying to stifle a giggle, and he purses his lips really tightly together. It's just for a quick second, and then it cuts away and comes back. It was funny. I was like, okay, she was whispering something to him that was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm sure that's more of a set thing then.
Yes.
A clue into what, because this set forth. This is the new mystery.
Yes.
We'll find. It's if you're listening to this, I hope you've already watched The Return. I think this is the start of not who killed Laura Palmer, but where is Laura Palmer?
Right, and then because what happens? She pulls back and she starts screaming, and God damn it, she needs to be a scream. She could have been the Scream Queen, man.
Yeah,
like, she should have been in so many horror movies and so many like thrillers. She's got just that awesome scream.
Her pipes, man, they're still it sounds good, just as good, if not better, as the screaming she did in the original run and Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah, and we get that hokey Twin Peaks thing, but again, it works. And she's going off now. This now makes sense to me of where she went.
Yeah, she's in Odessa now.
Yep, she's in Odessa now. Exactly.
And then we see just how vast, because we haven't seen how vast this lodge is. Mm-hmm. The curtains start billowing, and we see like an infinite chevron floor with the white horse, and it looks both kind of cool and looked like it was done in Microsoft Paint.
Absolutely.
Again, Lynch loves his hokey effects. It works here.
Oh, it really works here.
And then, boom, we're back to Mike, and he asks him again, is it future or is it past?
So I think what's happening here as we're talking about the timeline is because Mike is used to what the timeline is. He's trying to figure out from Cooper where he's at and what he's experienced so far on his linear time. So I think that's why when he sees them both times, he's like, is it future or is it past? And he's trying to figure out what he can reveal to Cooper and what he can't.
Yeah. We've described this before, what we think the Black Lodge is. It's a lot like Slaughterhouse-5. They're unstuck in time like Billy Pilgrim. Mm-hmm. So,
and I'm going to throw just a possible theory at you as well. It's something that kind of crossed my mind is that if you're familiar with the unconscious conscious or the collective unconsciousness, it feels like this could be part of it. Like the Black Lodge is part of this unconscious well. The White Lodge is part of this, is part of the light in the unconscious well, and that's why time doesn't matter because everything's flowing. And again, these are creatures of that world essentially, and they're not affected by things like time and things like that. So when they have someone like Cooper or Laura in there or things of that nature. Um, it it's they are completely out of their element, and that's my thought.
Yeah, well, I agree to an extent. We do see later on here, we'll get into it. Mike and the arm do seem jarred because things are changing that they did not know about, which I think I chalk up to Cooper's uh, Marty McFly fuckery.
Yes, yes, absolutely, because the arm tells him.
Well, let's get to the arm.
Yeah, let's get to the arm.
Okay, so Mike wants Cooper to follow him, and again, Lynch is again using the footsteps and playing it backward with the
Yes.
audio, which I love that effect.
I love it.
And he brings Cooper to the bubblegum tree.
The bubble gum tree. The evolution of the arm.
I am the arm, and I sound like this: an old man eating soup.
Pretty much.
Well, why don't you get into? Why did you have to give the arm an evolution?
Oh, fuck. So, what was his name again? Like Michael Anderson or something?
Yep, Michael Anderson.
Michael Anderson. He has, I mean, obviously, he's the arm. I mean, you can tell, you look at him, there's some problems there, right? I mean, there's some physical and mental issues there. And 25 years have not been kind to him, saying this very politely. He wanted $1 million from David Lynch to come back because he said he can't do this without him. And when Lynch told him to basically go pound sand, he started saying that Twin Peaks was all about David Lynch's admitting that he raped his own daughter, and started going on anti-Semitic tears and just pissing everybody associated with Twin Peaks off.
Yeah, his Facebook feed, I was following it just because it was a beautiful train wreck in a sense, leading up to the return. Because he made it very clear, like he's not partaking in this Twin Peaks thing, and started crapping all over it. And then he started losing it more because people were like, they replaced you with a bubblegum tree, and he started blocking these people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He did not deal with that part of this that well.
No, this was very much a finger. This was very much David Lynch giving him the finger. Like, there is no other way to interpret this than I'm giving Michael Anderson the fucking finger.
Yeah. I mean, he replaced him with a tree with a wad of bubble gum for a head.
And again, it works in this show. It works. It's weird and it's quirky and it's hokey as fuck, but my God, it works for what we're seeing here.
Yeah, but it also fits in line with, like, if you've ever seen Lynch's art and sculptures and that sort of thing. Like this tree is like right up his alley. I mean, I'm sure he put a little thought into it. That's why it works. It's not like I'm just gonna fucking.
No, but I think he did put a little thought into it. But I think he went $1 million. I'll fucking show you $1 million.
$25.
Yeah, I think he's like, I got some art things, and I think he started working on his art. Was like, yeah, fuck them. This is going in the show.
Yeah, I mean, if asking for the $1 million being turned down is one thing, but then you start he's really just unfounded rumors. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really nasty rumors, like insane rumors.
Yeah, he went, yeah, it's a shame, but like after reading some of the nasty things he said, I'm glad he wasn't in this, if that's the kind of person he is in real life.
Absolutely. So then he says it says, I am the arm, and I sound like this, and then he asks Cooper if he remembers his doppelganger, and that the doppelganger must come in order for Cooper to go out.
Yeah, and Lynch uses some of the footage from the season 2 finale of Cooper being chased by himself.
Yes.
Which is funny because the doppelganger runs really weird. He runs like Tom Cruise. I don't know
yes.
if you watch YouTube videos of Tom Cruise running.
It runs exactly like that. Yeah. Yes, it does.
And and when he says that, Mike also looks a little troubled by all this is going on. He just, I think he senses something's afoot here.
Mm-hmm.
And now we go back to Mr. C.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
With
This fucking
Jack.
scene. What the fuck is this scene? All right, go on.
I don't know, man. He just starts smushing his face like he's like a little kid.
I know. He closes the door. He hands him the keys. He's like, Jack, come here. And grabs his mouth and just starts stroking his face. And I assume he's doing some kind of Black Lodge Bob shit to his head. That's all I can assume.
I think he's just fucking with him before he kills him.
You think so?
I think that's just one of those Lynchian quirks, like in Fire Walk with Me, when Lynch puts his hand over his face when he's still talking to Chet. I think it's just Lynchian weirdness. I don't think that has really anything. I think it was just, I want you to rub his face weird. All right, David.
Action!
And then Mr. C goes back to his hotel room where Daria's on the phone, obviously concerned and paranoid. We see something's afoot with his hired goons.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that because, like, she hangs up and she tells him she was talking to Jack. She was talking to Ray. Ray. We find out Ray never met up. He was supposed to meet up with Mr. C. Turns out Ray got arrested. Bringing guns over state lines.
At the worst possible time.
Yeah. But we also found that Mr. C he has the recording of their conversation they just had.
Yes. Yep. This guy, I mean, well, remember, we know he's running $1 billion crazy operation. And he is wicked smart. So, yeah, I don't doubt that he had his...
He has the skill and cunning of the real Dale Cooper.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he had that. I'm sure he had that wiretapped right away.
Daria has a rough go here for a while. He wants her 45. And then he's like, Daria, Jack's dead. I killed him 2 hours ago after he wired the car. She just freaks.
She just freaks. And what does she get for her trouble? Smashed head against the bedboard.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh.
And then he plays the recording back, and they were assigned to kill him by a man named Jeffries.
Yes.
Which we know is, we know of a Jeffries, of a Philip Jeffries. And he now raised basically saying, you got to fucking off him. And what does Daria try to do? Escape again. And what does she get with her problem? Smacked against the headboard 3 times.
Yeah. He's playing with her.
Oh, yeah. He's totally toying with her.
He's just toying with her. But he wants to know, they were hired to kill him. He wants to know who hired her and Ray to kill him. Mm-hmm. She admits that they're splitting $500,000, but she doesn't know where it's coming from.
Right.
I'm sure. I don't know how much she knows. We don't get a whole lot of time with Daria in this show.
No.
So he tells her about this thing. He's like, I'm supposed to get pulled back into what they call the Black Lodge. So he's he's dropping like weird information on her, and he pulls out a card. It's an ace of spades with a weird alien thing head on that. We later find out that's Judy.
Yep.
Or, his weird drawing of Judy.
Yes.
And he's upset with that prison thing with that fucker Ray. Ray's in he's in South Dakota federal prison.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in Yankton. Ray's in Yankton prison, which is on the eastern side of South Dakota.
Yep.
Buckhorn, we find out, fictional town, but it's on the western end of South Dakota.
Yes, Buckhorn is fictional. So then she starts asking if she knows the coordinates, if she has anything. Ray told her anything. She's like, no. And then she's like, am I gonna die?
Are you gonna
Are
kill
you
me? He's
kill
like,
me?
yes.
Yes. So she tries to escape, and we get like I had such revisions back to Maddie at first because what does he do? He punches her right in the fucking face, man,
Yeah.
and just drops her. But then he just gets ruthless and pulls out their 45, puts a pillow over it, and shoots her in the fucking head.
Yeah. Mr. C's a busy guy. It's not like with Maddie, like where it's all fun and games. Bob has a job now. It's not like his wild and woolly teenage years.
Yeah. Yep.
He shoots her, and then we see we have a callback here. He's got Wyndham Earl's briefcase.
Yes, he does have Wyndham Earl's briefcase, but he calls the guy who he thinks is Jeffries. Who do you think it is? Because I know it's not Jeffries. I have an idea of who this is.
I'm going to tell you exactly who it is. It's fucking Albert. That's Miguel Ferrier's voice.
Yes. Yes. But
it's Albert.
Is it? Do you think it's Albert?
He admits later on that he's doing a side thing with Jeffries to capture Cooper.
That's right. Yes. Okay.
So it's Albert. Surprise, everybody. Albert's fucking with Mr. C.
Yeah, Albert's been fucking with him because
Albert even tells him, "You're going back in tomorrow."
Yep, you're going back in tomorrow, and Bob will be with me again. Yep. So, and the voice on the other end basically says he missed if he found if he met Major Briggs, and that he missed him in New York, and the doppelganger's still in Buckhorn, and yeah, it was just kind of an interesting conversation. So yeah, that's right, it was Albert fucking with him. I think trying to get information out of him.
Yeah, well, we'll get to it when he admits it to Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Like Albert, he's been in contact with Philip Jeffries since what we saw in Philadelphia in Firewalk with Me. And Jeffries is kind of like the liaison between the lodges and the FBI. We see in this episode is with Bob on the loose outside the lodge. The lodges start falling apart in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, there's hard rules that they can't be breaking.
Yeah, and I think Cooper's been doing a lot of things, or Mr. C's been doing a lot of things over the years to fuck with that lodge in that way. Yeah. And I think all the lodges are kind of like, this shit needs to stop.
Yeah. We know the Black Lodge is done with Bob's fuckery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he logs in the FBI server.
Yep.
It's just, again, he's got the know-how of Agent Cooper, but with like the most evil thing on Earth, which makes it like just a deadly combination.
Oh, fuck, it's so evil. And he basically finds out exactly where fucker Ray is.
Yeah, that fucker Ray.
That fucker Ray. He knows exactly where that fucker Ray is.
He's in the ancient prison like Daria told him.
Yep.
Oh.
And then the doppelganger leaves the briefcase there to me, which I was confused about at first because I'm like, are you sure you want to leave that briefcase there? But then he goes meets Chantel Hutchins. This is this is one of the second most disturbing thing in this series.
Oh, you mean when he's telling her how wet she is?
Yeah. Oh, God. Just like awkwardly grabs her by the pussy and says, nice and wet. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and Chantel's played by
Jennifer fucking Jason Leigh.
I love her in this.
I love her in this. And then
and Tim Roth, who plays
her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's amazing because he's like, hey, as he's grabbing her and telling her what she is, you and your husband need to be here when I tell you.
Yeah, a certain area. He's a certain area. So that's another kind of clue. Like they have to be in certain spots. Mr. C is very meticulous.
Mm-hmm.
That's how his plans work. That's how he's running a multi-billion-dollar crime ring with being not being found by law enforcement
for 25 years.
I mean, yeah, he has like lodge powers, but like he can't just like vanish.
No.
So, as we see later on, he can actually be arrested.
He can actually be arrested. We'll find that out very shortly. Then we go back to the Black Lodge, and our bubblegum tree says 253 time and time again, and then repeats Bob's name 3 times, and orders Cooper to go out 2 times.
Yep.
Very interesting that. And then,
well, if you remember when Briggs brings Cooper, he only says it's written more times, but Briggs says Cooper. Yep. Cooper. He says it 3 times, so it's a callback to.
Yep.
Briggs brought Agent Cooper in the 2nd season.
Yep. And then he follows Mike in, and then Mike disappears. Tries to go to another entrance, but it's blocked to him.
Yeah, he can't get out.
He can't get out. And then he finds another hallway, where Leland sits and tells Cooper to find Laura.
Again, another clue. This is Cooper's Marty McFly fuckery. Mm-hmm. It's not find a killer or I didn't. Last time we saw Leland in the lodge, he says, "I did not kill my daughter."
Yep.
Now he says, "Find Laura." That means, again, this is the new timeline. Laura's in Odessa, Texas, which, again, we've discussed. We think that's it's not the actual Odessa. It's Odessa. It's going to be something different.
Yes.
It's a place where they could hide her.
Yep, exactly. It's the place where the White Lodge could hide her. So yeah, and then he sees the shining light, and which he follows, and which kind of move over these, and then he opens up the curtains, and he has a vision of the statue. Mike says something's wrong, and the arm states it's his doppelganger. Cooper walks into another hallway where he sees the statue. He opens the entrance, and he sees the doppelganger driving in South Dakota.
Yeah, driving toward him.
Mm-hmm.
And then things are going chaotic because we'll see in the next part, Bob is breaking the lodge.
Yes.
And we're seeing it breaking here because the lodge, the chevrons are like popping out of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's shaking. We get the bubblegum tree doppelganger.
Yep. It's the dump. Yep. It's not the real bubblegum arm. It's a fake bubblegum arm. Yep. And it screams non-existent and shoots Cooper into a black liquid, which we find out in another time that happened in the last episode was when what's his name, Sam, was trying to find the security guy.
Yeah. So this is so Cooper's in the glass box while Sam is not doing his fucking job.
Right. And which works in Cooper's favor, I believe. And yes. And it got that really hokey effect, but it looked so cool.
Yeah. And so this leads me to think that maybe the security guard vanishing is Mike or the arm fuckery to distract people out, get Sam out of that room.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some lodge fuckery going on there.
Since Bob is breaking the rules, they're going to start just doing their thing to get Bob back. They got to put the genie back in the box, in a sense.
Mm-hmm. And then...
Now we're at the Palmer residence. We haven't seen the Palmer residence in the series yet, this season. And we see Sarah drinking, smoking, and watching the most fucked up nature
channel ever, where a bunch of lions are killing. Was it a fucking?
It was like a moose, I think.
Yeah, it was like a moose or a buffalo or some shit.
Yeah. It was this is foreshadowing. This is the she's watching predators eat the prey, in a sense. It doesn't, it's not heavy-handed. That's probably the most heavy-handed symbolism we're going to get from
Yes.
Lynch, in a sense. There's something not right with Sarah. Obviously, she's, her, 25 years has not been kind to her, and I'm sure a lot, outside of, her supernatural problems, she also has the problems of her husband raping and murdering their daughter and then killing himself within a few weeks.
Yeah. She's going through a lot of shit. And then we start hearing music.
Yes.
And this is something I absolutely loved with this one. In part one, you didn't get it because technically these were one part.
Yeah,
but
they weren't one part. They were just aired at the same as one full episode.
They were aired as one full episode. But this is something that happens, I think, pretty much through all of them except for one episode where there's the music.
Yeah.
And how is the Roadhouse getting these bands?
They have the best booking agent ever. And I gotta say, this season introduced me to a lot of bands I had not known about.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them being this band, the Chromatics. I love them. Like this. Thank you, David Lynch, for introducing me. This band is fucking great.
Yeah, the Chromatics are amazing. And when we get to another band, I'm gonna tell you one that got my daughter and I really love. And but then we get Shelley, who looks like what I would assume Shelley was gonna look like in 25 years.
She's aged really well.
She did age really well, but she still has that. Oh God, I love her to death. But the way that she plays Shelley, it's more like the girl at Last Call. In my opinion. Like, you know what I mean? She's the last call girl that you go home with. Yep.
She's sitting at a table full of them.
What's that?
She's sitting at a table full of them.
Yeah. There's a full we're gonna go home at Last Call with some dude. Yeah. And then we get a glimpse, and when we watched it the first time, we had no idea what they were talking about. She says Steven's is not the right husband for her daughter Becky. He has a problem. She's not happy. Holy shit, we'll go down that when that happens.
History's repeating itself for Shelley. Her daughter's pretty much doing what she did with Leo Johnson.
Yes.
25 years ago.
When James Hurley shows the fuck up.
God damn it.
with his buddy Freddie.
Okay, I like Freddie a lot.
Dude, this is such a minor glimpse at what a major fucking character he's going to be later.
Yeah. And of course you're watching, you're like, what's with the green fucking glove?
Right. I know, I'm like, and now when I was watching this for the second time, like, he's been wearing the green glove this whole fucking time.
Yeah, I didn't. I get, you're not looking for it. Like, I think like the first time I saw it, and like I saw he was wearing a green glove, I'm like, it must be like a work something where he's like work or whatever, work related. Like I didn't really think twice of it, and then the more we see Freddie, we're like, what's with that fucking glove?
Yeah, what's with that fucking glove?
And then we get the dumbest quote in all of Twin Peaks history. This quote is almost as bad as the "Just You and I" song. Shelley, somebody at her table just. James has a crush on her.
Yep.
And she's like, James is cool. James has always been cool. And it's just like, fuck.
Well, okay.
God damn it. There's a joke I want to crack, but I'm not going to because it's just in a bad taste.
Oh, crack your bad taste joke and then I'll
probably dump that. Nope, I'm not gonna.
Well, here's the thing. Yes. No, she says James is super cool. He's always been cool. And the one thing I liked about that was the look of James and her and being able to go back 25 years and see and like think about, wow, there were always there was this mutual respect between Shelley and James.
Yeah, and that was share a scene in the original the show.
What's that?
Do they even have a scene together in the original run of the show?
I think when he's in the double R one time, yeah, when the double R one time, And
But we also have to remember Shelley is Secret History and Final Dossier lets us know that she's about the same age as all these people. She just dropped out of high school
yes,
to marry Leo.
to marry Leo.
She was in the same grade as Audrey and the rest of them.
Yep. And
it's something the original show really didn't tell us, but it's so.
Well, it was implied, but it never really said it, right?
Yeah, they never really said it. I always thought, when I first saw this original series, I thought she might have been a few years older since she's not in school and working at the diner and all that. Plus, she looks a little older, well, whatever. Not like she looks old, but she just seems a little, more mature compared to the Donna and Audrey and all that.
Yes. And then she also makes a comment that he had a motorcycle accident. And wasn't quite the same afterwards.
Oh God! Yeah, maybe that. The only regret I have is the motorcycle accident finished the job.
What's interesting to me,
we also see Jacques Renault tending bar.
Yeah.
It's his twin brother, right?
It's his twin brother, Jean-Michel.
Jean-Michel.
Yes, Jean-Michel Renault. But yeah, that was fucking weird. Like, wait a minute, what dimension are we in? But this is also a clue of what the fuck's happening here. That Cooper is fucking with shit, and he's going to be fucking with shit. And then we get Red.
I just want to say too, because time is fracturing from what the events of what's going on with the lodge and what Cooper's doing, and we're seeing this with Lynch will throw in like weird kind of glitchy things. They'll kind of like inform us like, oh, this is time getting all fucked up and distorted. Mm-hmm. He does it. It's subtle at times and not so subtle at other times. But yeah, it's Cooper apparently never saw Back to the Future trilogy. If he did, he would know that you don't do this sort of thing. Otherwise, you end up with your mom trying to fuck you like Marty McFly did.
Yeah. He tried to fuck his mom. I mean, and the weird thing is, he was gonna fuck his mom. Yeah. That was the more disturbing part.
Yeah, he was gonna. Calvin Klein was gonna do it.
Calvin Klein was gonna bang that bee, and I really think that this went into Robert Zemeckis' Oedipus complex. I really think that's what the Back to the Future trilogy is about.
Still, best movie trilogy of all time.
Oh, it's fantastic what they did with it. Yeah. But then we get Red, played by one Balthazar Getty.
Yeah.
Who I love. I loved him in Lost Highway, which is what he used to do with was the last Lynch movie he was in.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of him. We just see that he is Shelley's new kind of guy.
Yep.
In a sense, again, she's. We'll find out he's a lot like Leo.
Yeah, she's
in the drug trade.
Yeah, she can't. She's so damaged. She can't have a decent relationship. Like I said, she's last call bar girl, right?
Yeah, I mean, she shot a man. She shot Leo. I mean, yeah, life came at Shelley Johnson fast. A lot of it I don't blame her for, but I do blame her for saying James is cool. Fuck you, Shelley.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then the Chromatics, I think it's Shadow is the song that's playing.
Yes, it's the song Shadow that's playing.
Again, like I remember watching this and I was like, how come I've never, and again, I'll bring it up, because just about all these, some of them I know about and loved for a long time, and others I was just like, wow, that's really fucking good.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a clunker in any of these Roadhouse performances.
There's one clunker.
I don't remember it. Oh yeah, wait! God damn it!
I was gonna say you don't remember it.
We're not gonna talk about Judy. We're not gonna talk about Judy at all.
That
song is Judy. All right.
You blocked it. You've watched the thing 3 times.
But
You flopped it. I've watched it once, and I remember that shit because I was traumatized.
I tried to forget, and then you reminded me.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the episode ends, and this episode is in memory of Frank Silva, who played Bob and traumatized Paul and I's childhood.
Yes. And Frank, like I said, he terrorized us, but he was like the nicest guy.
Everybody, all accounts of him, was just like the nicest man in the world.
Yeah, and he
brought his mom to the premiere of Fire Walk with Me.
Yep. Brought his mom to the premiere of Fire Walk with Me.
I mean, that's a weird movie to bring your mom to, but
and he was actually worked with David Lynch for a while. He did he was the prop master and set decorator on Lynch's Dune and Wild at Heart.
Yeah, Lynch likes to use people. He is the reason why you see a lot of people. Kyle MacLachlan probably being the one Jack Nance has probably done more projects with Lynch than Kyle, but Kyle's probably in second place there with that. Mm-hmm. He sticks with the people he likes, and it's kind of nice to see.
Yeah, I think Laura Dern's up there as well with a lot of stuff that she's done with David Lynch. And let's also not forget that Sylvia did appear in the Anthrax video only.
Anthrax, I believe, have a song about Twin Peaks too.
That's crazy to me. So I hate he died very young at 44 in 1995.
God, he was only 44. I'm 39. I thought he was like in his 50s.
Yeah, I'm 39. I thought he was in his 50s. Yeah,
I think it's just the gray hair, man.
Yeah. He died at 44. Overall, Joe, what takeaways? What do you think? What things do you want to dive into that were kind of cryptic?
Well, I mean, we got Mr. C is being fucked with. We talked about it. Albert and the real Jeffries are they're trying to right this ship. The ship being time and everything itself, because Bob via Cooper, Mr. C are they're breaking the rules, and we talked about this, I think, in the season 2 finale. There's hard rules in the lodges that you don't break, and we see in this. And especially, I think it's the next episode.
I believe so as
well. I
want
to say it's that because how Cooper eventually gets out. It's not. You don't want to be breaking these rules.
Yeah. No, you do not. No, you do not.
It's so. But again, Mr. C is he's a real son of a bitch. Holy shit.
Mr. C is a son of a bitch, and we're going to find out just what a son of a bitch he is. Let's talk a little bit. Just want to go through the music again, because I think we could go into all the time, but the music that's going to come from the Chromatics, is going to come from the Cactus Blossom.
That's another band. Cactus Blossoms, that Mississippi song. Love it.
I love that song.
The Nine Inch Nails.
The Nine Inch Nails. Sharon Von Etten. Trouble. Oravar Simone. Hudson Mohawk. Rebecca Del Rio.
I see Rebecca Del Rio back in the Lynch thing too. Last time we saw her was in Mulholland Drive.
Yes, it was. And we got Leslie, the Vales, and Edward Louis Severson III,
otherwise known as
Eddie Vedder, which I love that song.
I do too. I like Pearl. I'm not a huge fan of Pearl Jam, right? I like them. They're good. My thing with Pearl Jam is they're kind of like the Stones to me. They're solid rock band. I've seen them live twice, maybe 3 times. They're one of the best live bands I've seen. There's like bands that I love to see live, but I really don't care about their studio stuff. Clutch being another one. I saw them last year. Phenomenal live band. I couldn't give 2 shits about the studio albums.
Right.
But Out of Sand is such a good song.
Oh my God, it's fucking brilliant. And it works. I mean, first of all, I can relate to the song as we're getting older, right? Like this song is all about Eddie Vedder coming to terms with him getting older. But that song is like to me the summation of this fucking season as well. Like it just fits perfectly. And then we'll see Julie Cruz with the Chromatics.
Yeah, and she'll raise another stink about how Jenny did that too.
Oh God, yeah, she will.
I don't blame her. Look, Julie Cruz has she doesn't have the best relationship with David Lynch.
No.
But also she's playing in his sandbox, so I mean, you take what you take, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's his show. He's whatever.
Yeah, overall, I mean, I liked this episode a lot. Like now, again, it's having seen it for the second time, it makes so much more sense. There's just, it's like, okay, I know what's coming now, so I know what these things mean.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
Quick,
You have to watch.
Who did you think the Jeffries was? What was your theory before I interrupted you?
I thought it was Mike.
That's what I thought the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I thought it was Mike, and I forgot it was Albert, and it was also what I thought the first time around as well. So it just goes to show that there's things in this that are gonna, I'm gonna go, holy shit, I forgot about that, right?
Oh yeah. It's 18 hours, people. There's a lot going on here.
There's a lot going on, and they're throwing a lot at you, and it's in a way that's written that it's kind of like when you watch the Back to the Future trilogy, and how satisfying it is when you see it the second time, and watch for the little things that they did so detailed orientated that it could work with it, and they could make these things work. It's really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot to take in with these episodes. It's so much more fun watching it on, going through it again after you've experienced it. And again, the Frost books that tie into it really help too. I'm rereading Final Dossier right now just because I just can't get enough Twin Peaks now because we're doing the podcast.
Right.
And Secret History, these books like set it up and bookend it, and it's such a fun ride.
Yes, it is amazing. Yeah, and to go back because the last one was we talked about Catherine Coulson and it's heartbreaking. She filmed her scenes 4 days before she died in 2015.
Yeah, I'm glad she was able to do it. I mean, Log Lady's such an important element of the show, and the fact that she's dying but she's willing to go back and do this is just amazing. It's heartbreaking though. It's so sad.
Yes. Yeah, it was it's heartbreaking sad, and there's gonna be more heartbreaking sadness.
Yeah, because James sings the song again.
We're not gonna talk about that.
It's the most heartbreaking sadness the show brought.
I told you. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into the next episode, because if I remember correctly, there's a lot of shit that's about to go down.
Yeah.
And go on a very weird path.
A path I don't think anybody could say they saw coming.
No, nobody saw it coming. So we will get into that next episode. For the time being, Joe, what do you guys got going on? I know you guys did Any Given Sunday. You just dropped that on the Joe Down. Yep,
we got Mr. Baseball coming. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I'm just going to call it. I'm going to just assume it's the incredibly racist Tom Selleck movie about a guy who plays baseball in Japan. What do you guys got coming up for cast that movie?
We have John Carter and the Red Dead Redemption 2. Yes, we do.
Oh, I thought you guys did Red Dead Redemption. The Xbox 360.
Oh no, you're right. Oh, Jesus Christ, I am not with it. Yes, you're right. We are doing King of Kong and John Carter. Jesus Christ.
Billy Mitchell.
Sorry. Yeah, Billy Mitchell.
Good thing I listen to your podcast, Paul.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. To be honest with you, I'm doing so much of these now. I mean, we're doing Bears, Beats, and Bobbleheads, talking The Office.
Which we have an episode dropping this week, I think.
Yes, I believe we have an episode dropping this week. And then we do, we do this one. I do Cast That Movie, and I'm looking at a food one. Food one starting in August.
Nice.
Yes. So it's going to be two people that you're unfamiliar with, but have been begging to do a podcast with me, and I finally relented and said, let's start in August. And I'll give you a little hint on it. What it's going to be is we're going to go over a spice or a food product. We're going to dig into the history of that and kind of where it came from, its origins, the different ways it's cooked. And then all three of us are going to come up with our favorite recipe of either how that spice or that food is utilized.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And then once a month, maybe, we're going to throw it up, or we'll throw it up on the Jodown, we'll make a video, and it's going to be us cooking something from one of the episodes that we did prior. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's
see what you guys do with the Spice Melange.
There's only one way to do Spice Melange, and that's off Cheney's tits.
Oh.
With that, Joe, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, until next time, I got nothing. Shut up, Shelly. James is never cool.
I got it. 119. 119.